Good evening from PLUGHITZ Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we are here with episode 554 of F5 Live, Refreshing Technology for Sunday, March 15th, 2020. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, Microsoft is without its gates, Pokemon is without its Go, and TVs are without fire. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter, on any of the podcatchers like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, or a myriad of other options, on our live stream platforms, livestream.com, Mixer, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, or Facebook, on the radio, or on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are now 3 ways you can do that. The first is you can join us live Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern by going to f5live.tv/join us. There you can chat with us in the studio during the show and give us your feedback on the topics as we talk about them. Or you can listen on 88.1 WMLD radio in the New York area or through their website Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. Or you can always subscribe at PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows, including F5 Live, The Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, and a whole lot more. And of course, find all the ways that you can watch or listen. Avram, how has this very bizarre week been for you?
Well, I'm sure that like a lot of people, as we could have predicted, I think I predicted, a week or more ago, our company has temporarily closed all of our offices. So I'm permanently working from home.
Okay.
I had great intentions about like cleaning my home office today, but I guess I'll have to do it another day. But so that's for at least 2 weeks, but I expect probably longer. My son's school was just today announced that it's closing for 2 weeks. Although again, I wouldn't be surprised if they extend it for longer.
Sure.
So it's gonna be really a cooped up feeling.
Yeah.
But I'm less concerned about myself and my family being cooped up than I am for all the people who are getting sick or could get sick.
Sure.
And for all of the really intense negative impacts that this is going to have on people's jobs and lives. It's just incalculable when you have a world, where people can't go out to eat or go out to shop or go out to their jobs or go out to school. Like there's just a lot of, and of course products not being manufactured and
Right.
distributed. So, that's just a lot of economic damage. And I just hope that, that the damage of, people actually losing their livelihoods is as limited as it can be, because that affects everybody. And,
Yeah, we
on
our side first, interestingly made a decision on the rest of the season. Interestingly, during the drivers' meeting for our competition on Friday, the teams were all gathered and competition was set to start in about an hour, and we got word from HQ that the season has been canceled and get out of the building. So they made the announcement during the competition that our event was done, and then starting I guess that was Thursday. Yeah, that must have been Thursday. And then they made the announcement the rest of the season was done. So it's that made for an interesting week too, especially dealing with, we were helping, disseminate information about all the events that were postponing as the week went on, and then for first to come out and go, all right, we're done. So we don't know what that's going to mean. The kids have built their machines. They were ready for competition, and a lot of people aren't going to get to compete. We're going to do a scrimmage in Tampa, and then the event Mission Mayhem is going to go on over the summer this year, so as a full event, so that the kids will at least have a full scale competition to compete in, and then we'll do Roboticon in October. But Florida's special. You got people up in New York aren't going to have competitions. The off season up there isn't quite as robust as it is down here. So it's affecting every aspect of everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
Did you see that? Did you see that Steve Wynn announced that as of Tuesday, the Wynn and the Encore in Las Vegas are going to be closed?
Yeah, I saw something about that, but I'm actually surprised that it's not, and it could happen before then, but I would be surprised if somebody didn't announce, perhaps the local government or the state government announced that they had to close all the casinos. Yeah. I think, everything is closing down. I mean, as of the last I checked here in New York State where I am, they have not yet said that all restaurants have to close.
Ohio has.
But Ohio did.
Chicago did too.
So how long until it's everything around here?
Yep.
And what are all those people do while they're sitting at home, not being paid to cook or to be, hospitality staff, that's
right.
Anyway, very, very, very depressing.
Indeed.
But today's Piltch Point, we will talk about something that might be a little bit empowering that folks can do about coronavirus.
And three of the four other topics this evening will be about people people and organizations responding to the crisis. So if you're listening or watching, it's going to be a very heavy episode on the responses and the surrounding situation.
How can it not be? Like, right. I would really like to be able to forget about it and to talk about other stuff, but unfortunately it's having an impact on this other stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of product announcements and things like that should have happened and now indefinitely delayed.
Yep.
Trade shows where things are announced, press events. I won't get into detail about something I shouldn't say, but I had a company last week email me like, "Hey, Avram, we want to talk to you about something new under something new next week," and then email me over the weekend and be like, "Sorry, we don't know when we're going to be ready to talk to you about that."
Yep.
So,
I mean, Apple has indefinitely delayed the iPhone 9 at this point because production has 100% stopped on it. I mean, they haven't announced the product yet, so that makes things a little easier for them. But apparently, manufacturing is 100% stopped on it, and it is delayed indefinitely. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously it's the thing that we have to talk about because it's kind of the world right now. There's not a whole lot of anything else going on.
I was reading today that there's a good chance that next-gen consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox One X,
yep, exactly.
One X will be
Series X.
Will be delayed. See, I know I messed it up.
I know.
The next Xbox will be delayed until 2021. think about the ripple effect of that, because that's supposed to be a really big, commerce driver
Yep.
for holiday 2020.
Yep.
And if you don't have these new consoles coming out in holiday 2020,
Then all the
then
games that were
that's going
designed, all the games that were designed to come out holiday 2020, all the accessories that were designed to come out 2020, GameStop that's already struggling. The ripple is big.
yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I hope somehow they find a way to at least launch them in limited supply, because it's it's very bad for everybody
Everybody.
if the holiday season doesn't if there's not a lot of economic activity during the holiday season.
For sure. Well, we're going to talk about some of this over the next hour. So I guess, guys, strap in, because here we go. This week's Nifty Gifties and F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new tablet, a laptop, desktops, an Xbox One S or X, or a whole bunch of other stuff, including things to get you going if you're going to be working remotely for a while, like Microsoft Teams or a new Surface. And you can find out about all the Surface deals and a whole lot more by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. So on the topic of Microsoft, what is potentially one of the biggest changes to their corporate structure ever was announced on Friday, and that is that co-founder Bill Gates is officially leaving the board of directors, and that leaves the company with essentially no original or early team members left. Paul Allen left the board in 2000. Steve Ballmer stepped away as CEO before Satya Nadella was chosen. And now with Bill Gates leaving the board, it is literally a whole new Microsoft. But Bill Gates is leaving not because he's done with Microsoft or, any of that. He's leaving because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is taking a lot of his time. It's where his passion is. It's the thing that he loves. And right now, the thing that they are focused on, because the foundation shifts based on what's going on in the world, what they are focused on right now is COVID-19, the coronavirus, and dealing with kind of the international fallout from it, because Bill Gates said in a TED Talk 6 years ago-ish that the next major outbreak the world would not be ready for. And, based on what we're seeing, it does seem like the global infrastructure was not prepared for this, and so they are looking for all the ways that they can step in and help. The fact that it came on Friday is not coincidental. It's actually 44 years to the day from when he joined the board of directors of his own company. So that's obviously, it was a significant date, and was potentially already on the horizon, possibly for next year, to go with a 5. But with everything going on, it's not surprising that now is the time to throw everything into the foundation. What do you think?
So I don't really know how much of his time Bill Gates has to give to be on a board. But if anyone, because I just don't know what it's like to be on the board of a major corporation, if somebody would like to invite me to be on their corporate board, uh, especially of a Fortune 500 company. I'll report back how much of my time it takes. Uh, so I don't know whether this was a significant commitment of his time or not. Um, the certainly uh, certainly Bill Gates for a long time has been focused on his charitable endeavors with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So it's not a surprise that he would want to step away from his business concerns. He certainly has plenty of money to you know to deal with this. I'm sure he didn't say he was divesting from Microsoft, so he's probably still making lots. He probably still has a lot of shares in the
Yeah.
company. So
And
yeah,
and
I
at one
mean,
point, he's a couple years ago, he stopped selling them off in a large chunk every month. So that was when we saw the stock price start to go up significantly. He stopped selling his shares off. But yeah,
right. So I mean, I think he feels like he's probably not been super involved for a while. B, he wants to signal his confidence in the company
right.
and the leadership of the company that it's, under Nadella, Microsoft has done a lot better than it had for the years before
Hmm.
by transforming itself into more of a platform agnostic company that's not, that was willing to embrace things like Linux and, willing to say like, hey, we're gonna support other platforms, other operating systems. We're not going
Hmm.
to try to make our own phone operating system anymore. um, so Microsoft has managed to survive and thrive without necessarily having lock into its platforms, which is a big deal. So he's signaling his confidence.
Yeah.
Now it turns it turns out, just as a quick aside here, that my son in his school, in his second grade class, has to do an assignment on famous Americans, and each kid had to choose a famous American to write about, and his choice was Bill Gates, um, and
I knew I liked him.
so he had to write down a little. Yeah, he had to write down a little, and I didn't help him with that. I have no idea how he chose Bill Gates. And he had to write down a bunch of like questions for Bill Gates, and that he would ask Bill Gates if he met Bill Gates, and it's quite and like
That's
it
cool.
wasn't the kind of question that I would ask, like, "Hey, could you spare some money?" It was, uh, it was, it was, like how many lines of code are there in Windows, which. I don't think my son realizes Bill Gates might not be the most qualified person to answer.
Certainly not
The answer
today.
is roughly 50 million. Right? Maybe Windows 1 he would be able to answer. Or Windows
Possibly down to
95.
the number.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Or like, how did he think to come up with Windows or things like that? My son thinks of Microsoft as like Windows and Minecraft, because he knows Microsoft is behind Minecraft. Um, he doesn't, really know about MS DOS,
Sure.
to
Sure.
ask about that, uh, or Azure. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, Bill Gates has transcended Microsoft now for a long time. So I was actually, when I heard the story, I actually was, I guess this shows how much I keep track of corporate boards. Surprised to hear he was still on the board. So,
Yeah, especially when he stepped down as the chairman in 2014, there was a lot of reporting that suggested that he had left the board. So yeah, I would imagine that a lot of people were surprised that he was still on. because stepping down as the executive chairman was a big story in 2014, almost as big as him stepping down as CEO in 2000. But this is his last official role that he is officially leaving, though he will remain on as a technology advisor for the executives like Nadella and people like that, because obviously he understands the technology, especially the early day stuff. You know, he's had his hands in so much of the physical technology of the company from day one. So he will remain as a technology advisor.
I would like to know if they ever call him. I would like to know if they. I would really love to know if they ever call him for advice, because, I mean, yeah, he had his hands in the technology, but not for a long time. I mean, hopefully they're not calling him for problems with the with the Windows command prompt.
Right. No, I know that when the decisions were being made about Windows Phone, and some of the issues, because he's spoken on it, some of the issues that led to the kind of collapse of Windows Phone, they were actively involving him in those conversations, and that was after he was off the chairman's role. So they didn't have to get his input on anything. So and they were. So it does sound like they do occasionally lean to him, but it tends to be on big things like that. The end of a division that's been around since the early 2000s. Things like that. So it's a big move for him, and like you said, it's probably, more than anything, it's a sign that he feels that the company's in good hands. So that's a good sign. I don't suspect that any major changes will come because of it, because like we said, he was just a board member. He wasn't the chairman of the board or anything like that. So can't imagine any big changes will come of it. But it's a big day. It leaves basically both Apple and Microsoft without their founders involved in day-to-day operations of any sort. So it's a big change for the industry. But the things he's going to, the foundation is where he should be spending his time. It's where his passion is. And if you can't put your time into your passion, especially if you've got as much money as Gates has, then what's the point in having it? So we wish him luck, and hope that his next foundation endeavors will be as successful as some of the past, like the malaria stuff. So. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. While you're online and you want to keep your browsing history a little more private, you can use something like a VPN, like PureVPN, and obfuscate your browsing, as well as reporting that you're maybe somewhere else, so that you can get the local news from another city, maybe, or if you're out of the country, which you probably aren't right now, you can get back on your Hulu account and things like that. And we've got some deals. If you go with a 2-year plan right now, you can get it for $3.33 a month, which is a really great deal. To find out more about the service and to get this deal, which includes a 31-day money-back guarantee, you can go to piltchpoint.live/purevpn. So obviously we're talking a lot about the coronavirus tonight, and how some companies and people are responding, but it's not just about the companies, right? We can do some stuff ourselves.
Yes. So there is a program called Folding at Home. It is a scientific program where anyone who has a computer that is connected to the internet can download the software and have your computer used as a distributed computer to solve help solve some problems that could lead to treatments for COVID-19. Uh, Now, folding at home has been around for a long time, and what they do is they use distributed computing resources to uh, to try to figure out how to uh, block viruses like COVID-19 by using a process called protein folding. Uh, so it's a matter of trying to simulate, um, what could block the what could block the coronavirus cells from, let's say, attaching to your lung cells to start an infection. So I have to admit, it's really difficult for me to understand exactly how protein folding works, but you don't need to understand how it works to participate. All you need to do is go to the Folding at Home website, which is foldingathome.org. That is not the at symbol, it's folding athome.org. And click Start Folding, and you can download an installer for your computer, and it will and then go through the process, and then you can decide, do you want it to use your computing cycles all the time while you're actively using it, or do you want it to use it while your computer is asleep? Do you want how much of your computer resources do you want to use for it? Now, I want to be clear. Folding at Home does not only target the COVID-19 virus; it also uses resources towards toward cures for other diseases. That's what it's been doing all these years that it's been around. But it's joined the fight against COVID-19, and it will be using some portion of those resources to fighting COVID-19. Uh, there's also a competitive aspect to it. There are teams, and you can sign up when you sign up for Folding at Home. You can put in a team number, and then your total contribution, your like work units, like the computing power that you've contributed, goes toward the total for the team, and you can see, how your team is doing, or just how you're doing as an individual. Now, I have a little bit of a vested interest in this. Starting this week, we will announce that Tom's Hardware, my day job, and Anantech, which is our competitor. They are part of our same company, but we are competitors. We both have Folding at Home teams, and we will be doing a fold off for a couple of weeks, and uh, encouraging our readers to use Folding at Home and to join our teams to see who gets the bragging rights of coming out on top, who folded more from the start. Our team is already up and running, and actually has been for a while, because we've had Folding at Home competitions in years past, but the teams are still valid. We will announce a start date this week for when we will start counting. We'll set the clock to zero basically, but people can sign up right now and join our team. Our team number, this is all you need to know what team you're on, is 40051. That is 40051. So go to foldingathome.org, download the software, and when you are setting it up and it asks you for a team number, put in 40051. Obviously, how much computing resources you want to give to Folding at Home is a personal decision. If you're leaving your computer on 24/7 and it's using 100% resources for this, it will use it could up your electric bill. Um, so that's something to keep in mind. But we're hoping that folks will turn out and give a lot of their computing resources toward this, and hopefully Folding's results help the scientific research toward stopping COVID-19.
Yeah, indeed. And we used to have, we probably still do. I can't imagine that anybody's still on it, but years ago we had a team. Going back to the early 2000s, I think. And we've been involved in this before, and so I am definitely on board with with getting back into this. I haven't had it installed on some of the computers for a while, but I definitely will be. It's a good program.
Yeah, I mean, we can't say for sure exactly how much this helps. There are a lot of different researchers with a lot of different for-profit and non-profit and governmental organizations looking for ways to treat and prevent COVID-19 right now. This is just one, but it's one that you can participate in.
I have just downloaded the team file, and we're still in it. Oh, that's pretty funny.
I don't think they ever purge any teams.
No,
And
but we've still got score.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Tom's Hardware team. Like, people are still on it who signed up years ago and still contributing. Even as recently as a couple days ago, I saw somebody was doing it. So we hadn't even promoted it in a long time. I think last time we did was like 2016 or something, and people who had signed up, had us on there. So we're not starting from zero membership, but neither is a non-tech. So we're we're gonna do what we can to score more than them over the next few weeks, and we're coming up with a plan for like how long we're gonna keep track of this, like when we're gonna declare a winner, and things like that. But our goal is to kick some butt on Folding at home.
I would like to point out that you guys are 17 and 18 on the lifetime global leaderboard.
I think we were 15 the other day, so
Oh.
we're falling off.
It's possible that that Zero has zoomed up the list in the last couple of weeks or last couple of days even. But it looks like
Right.
like
So-
17 and 18 are you guys, are you and Anantech.
Well, we're going to see what we can do about this problem. And keep in mind, the good thing is our readers are have some really powerful computers, and we will not just our readers, but some of our staff. We have some pretty good computing resources, so we'll be putting them toward the effort and see where we can get to.
Well, that's really cool. I'd also like to point out that their team has existed way longer, and they're only one spot up on you.
Yeah. Well, they need to get ready because
I love that.
because we're gonna trounce them. But I say this with great respect for Ryan Smith, who was editor in chief of Anantech,
Of course.
and whose idea this was. So I
Okay,
gotta give
well, that's
some
good.
props there.
And obviously this is to use a first robotics term, this is cooperation. It's not.
Yes, sure.
It's not like we're gonna destroy you. It's haha, we're gonna beat you. And what's the worst that happens? The project gets more compute cycles and everybody wins. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, it just so happens that I think it was this week or last week, SETI at home shut down.
Uh-huh.
So if you've been giving your cycles to SETI at home, now's the time you could give them to folding at home, because I guess we're no longer interested in trying to find aliens, or maybe they've already been found. I don't know.
You know, that might also explain some of the ranking changes. If people have left the SETI program and come over to this with resources, you might see some of the top teams shift around a little bit. So interesting. All right, so team 40051, we're gonna try and move them up a couple of spots on the global leaderboard, and that's our goal. 40051, and it's foldingathome.org, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing how this goes, honestly, because I love this kind of thing. It's why we used to be involved in it, because it's fun. We had a team, and so did the other two. Because this is dating this thing back. This was back in the days of when Dance Dance Revolution was a big thing, and we had 3 big sites here in the U.S. The 3 of us used to compete on this. So the idea of cooperation on this program is long running, and I am excited to get back into it on the Tom's Hardware side. Obviously, we want people to participate, and for those of you who are out there dealing with the fallout of the virus, either you're sick, or you're in forced isolation, as so many of us are, we definitely feel for you, and we hope all of us get through all of this safely. This week's Extra Life in F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. All the accessories to up your game on both PC and console are available from Razer, whether you're looking for a new keyboard and mouse as you're getting into or want to get better at PC games, or you're looking for a great controller for your Xbox, or you want a whole new system with the laptops, the Razer Blade 15, and a whole lot more. You can find all of them by going to f5live.tv/Razer. Mind is still a little focused on the folding team. I apologize for sounding like I've never done that promo before. So with this semi-forced isolation that we're all kind of living into right now, some games are obviously, people are going to lean into games. In times like this, entertainment is the place that people go to, whether it be, watching a lot of TV on Amazon or Netflix, or playing video games. Entertainment is the place that people tend to go. But some of the more popular games over the last couple of years have involved interacting with people in the real world. Best example of that, of course, is Pokemon Go, who kind of pioneered the augmented reality, as I like to say, the meat space games, where some aspects of the games can only be accomplished by leaving your house and going out, and sometimes interacting with other humans, which is all being discouraged right now. And so Niantic, who produces Pokemon Go, has actually made changes to the game to allow you to continue playing and not lose your streaks and not lose out on aspects of the game while mostly staying home, which I think is a great idea. They've made incense packs essentially free so that you can continue your capture dominance among your friends and competitors. They've made it so that when you do go out, Pokestops will drop more. They will also have a higher chance of dropping gifts or some higher end things. Gifts themselves, I believe, are also friend to friend gifts are also supposed to be giving more stuff. And they've also canceled or postponed. Postponed is the word that everybody's using, but I think most things are being canceled. They've postponed the community day for this month for Abra, and so that even the gaming companies that have tried to get people interacting with other humans are taking this really seriously, and I think that's a good sign that Niantic actually went and made changes to the way the game works a little bit to allow people to entertain themselves and continue playing a game that they may or may not be obsessed with, depending on who you are, without having to go out and put themselves in danger. I think that's a great idea. What do you think, Avram?
I mean, obviously, this is a shift in purpose. The point of games like Pokemon Go and Minecraft Earth was to get people out of the house and walking around. Now they're trying to give you the opposite message, which is stay home, don't go anywhere.
Right.
But I think every company and every institution and every organization wants to be seen as doing their part.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be, and more importantly, nobody wants to be seen as encouraging people to do something that leads to them getting sick. Just looking at it from a purely selfish business perspective, if you're a company like Niantic, do you want a news article to come out saying people are running around doing Pokemon Go when they're really supposed to be at home quarantining, or somebody went out and played Pokemon Go even though they were infected, and now other people are infected. Like, they don't want the negative press.
Sure.
They don't want. I don't know if anyone could seriously cause a lawsuit with it, sue them for that. But I think a lot of institutions, a lot of places, they're all looking for, like, how do I make sure that I'm on the good side of this story, right? I'm on the so. I think we'll talk about that in one of our next stories too. So, yeah, they got to do it. But it's interesting because what it really shows is how sort of this time of sort of mass quarantining and social distancing really goes opposite to a lot of the things that we normally try to encourage.
Right.
Get out of the house, exercise. Don't be a shut-in. Don't spend your entire life on the internet. See other people. Don't live in a virtual reality dream world, whatever. But now we're all kind of having to do the opposite, and my personal hope is that it's not for long, because I've seen the Bruce Willis movie Surrogates, and it doesn't look like a lot of fun. So that's I think that's what what Niantic is thinking, that hey, we got to if we don't do something, we're going to we're going to look bad. We're going to get in trouble. Someone's going to do something they shouldn't. By the same token, one of the things that's really annoying in Pokemon Go normally, uh, well, I don't know. Maybe this is just supposed to be this way. Is if you're in a car or something,
Uh-huh.
it suddenly says to you like you're in a car, you know, you shouldn't use this. And then you can like kind of use it if you say that you're a passenger, but at the same time you're going so fast unless you like stop somewhere that you really can't catch Pokemon.
Well,
I
they
mean, I
turn
had that I was
when you're going over a certain speed, they
yeah.
turn spawns off anyway.
Yeah. So it's I've had this experience where I was in the in the car and my wife's driving. I was like, oh man, I want to catch the Pokemon. Can't.
Hmm.
Got on the train going to and from work. Maybe when I'm at a stop, if it stops long enough that I can see a Pokemon there or
Uh-huh.
a Pokestop there or something, I can do it. But if not, it rolls on by. And I get it because like what they're really trying to encourage in normal circumstances is walk around, go. But now what they're trying to encourage is stay home.
Well, in fairness, I remember before that rule was in place, and there was a lawsuit that resulted in that rule going in. But yeah, it it is unfortunate that if you're on the train or something like that, you still can't do anything. But it's more difficult for them to detect something like that, I suppose. But yeah, it is. It's an interesting shift, and the way they've dealt with it without having to really do big code changes. They've the idea that habitats are bigger, that incense lasts for 60 minutes instead of 30. That's all just config file stuff. They didn't have to do any big changes, and none of what they've done is financially beneficial, right? They didn't do anything to to gouge players. They went the other way. They made a what is it? A 20 pack of, I think it's a 20 pack or 30 pack of incense. Yeah, it's a 30 pack of incense, a single coin. So it's essentially free. Because the system doesn't allow for free items, I don't think. So, they essentially made it free, and they went the other way. While we've just last week we were talking about how eBay and Amazon are having to take down listings, and you can't even list hand sanitizer and surgical masks on eBay anymore over price gouging. Here, Niantic had the opportunity to add new things, different types of things into the game, and they absolutely went the other way and said, we're going to make the things that'll make your experience essentially free. Try and enjoy your social distancing time. I think that's commendable.
Uh, it is, but it's also good business
Oh, absolutely.
because because if they did try to do that stuff, they might drive people away.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you have people who are at home and they're participating in it, okay, now we're keeping those people because I think if you fall out of the habit of doing Pokemon Go, then you're probably not gonna, you may not go back in the habit
It's
when
very true.
it's finally safe to go outside again. So you want to keep people in the habit of playing. You want to keep your membership and your activity, and then also people. Yes, you made that one thing free, but there's a lot of other things that people could buy,
Sure.
and so if you get people engaged, they're more engaged. They're going to spend money, and
Absolutely.
if you just try to make it hard for them, then you're going to lose people, and that's not good for business.
Right.
I feel the same way about this that I do about Microsoft and Google making like Meet and Teams free trials for a few months. Like,
Right.
it's not charity. They're hoping that people, by using these things for a few months, will
Keep them.
after the situation is over say, oh, we got to have it, we got to keep it.
Yeah.
So
They're right.
believe
This
me,
is
it's
better. Let's
not.
keep it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna it's good for Niantic.
Absolutely.
It's not charity.
Right. But it's also good for the players. So that's that's the thing.
Yeah.
Not all business moves are good for the consumer, and in this case, they made a decision that's beneficial for everybody. So I think it is both responsible and smart. So this week's news from the tubes on F5 Live is proudly powered by RiffTrax. I almost said those backwards. Make fun of movies, or let these guys do it for you. Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy, the former stars of Mystery Science Theater 3000, are back and doing what they do best, creating commentaries for Hollywood blockbusters and B-movie oddities like... Oh, the first one went away, and it looked... A Green Thumb for Macaulay. Looks like it might be a short film. We'll get to that in a second. The way it works is for a couple of dollars, you download the MP3, play it along with your Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, DVD, wherever the movie happens to exist, and laugh. From time to time, they also do live events. They have 2 of them coming up for 2020. We will see exactly what that ends up looking like in the long run, but they do have 2 planned for 2020, and those also end up making it online later, which you can purchase. And they also do short films, which are a tremendous amount of fun and sometimes horrifying, like the thing I'm watching right now. And to find all of the feature films, the short films, and the live events that are available, you can go to f5live.tv/rifftracks with an X. I have absolutely no idea what it was I just watched. That is my favorite part of doing that promo, is seeing the weird previews that show up at the bottom. Anyway, so we talked about Niantic making changes to the game, but they aren't the only company that is making changes to their policies and things like that to support people who are being isolated over the next couple of weeks. What we have seen is companies that normally have pretty low customer survey scores, like Comcast and AT&T, making moves to help support their customers. We've seen data caps either removed or overage fees set to 0, depending on how the billing system works for particular companies. We've seen even T-Mobile and Sprint, which both are and are not the same company right now, depending on how you look at it. it's Schrodinger's mobile service, I think. Both of them, if you're a mobile hotspot user, they have upped your hotspot to 20 gig. So even if you're on like the 2 gig plan, you've got 20 for the next couple of months. And we've seen companies kind of across the board, whether it be ISPs or power companies, the mobile carriers waiving late fees and not acting on service terminations, because they know a lot of people are going to be without work for a while. And we've even seen some companies like Charter, whose Spectrum service is offering, if you have a student in K through 12 and you are not a Spectrum user, you can get free Spectrum service for a certain period of time for those students who are going to be doing e-learning for the first time. It's, a lot of companies have responded, like you said in the last segment, in business smart ways, but also ways that are beneficial to people who are out in the wild experiencing new aspects of the world, like working at home or schooling at home.
Yeah, I'm really not looking forward to the schooling at home. they haven't said yet, because we just found out today,
Mm-hmm.
what how schooling at home is going to work for my son. But I'm not, when he's at school, there's an apparatus to like get him to like participate and pay attention. When now that he's at home, we gotta like, I don't know exactly how many hours a day he's gonna have to sit in front of the computer, or I don't know if it's just gonna be assignments that he has to do over time, or they're gonna actually have like live stream class for him
Right.
or whatever. But we're gonna have to like, my primarily my wife, because I want to be working, uh, getting him to actually do what he's supposed to do.
Right.
Um, but you know, I think again, this is good for the businesses
Sure.
to do. Certainly, they don't want to come under any pressure to say like, "Hey, you're causing a problem." On the other hand, I have to ask, for those like home ISPs that have caps, how many people are going to exceed the cap anyway? Like, didn't I think I heard, was it Comcast had like a 1 terabyte monthly cap?
Yeah.
So I wonder how many people come close to the 1 terabyte cap now.
Right.
Granted, they're going to be spending more time at home using the internet. I don't think that,
Possibly firing
honestly,
up
I don't
things
think
like
that the work
Amazon and
from,
Netflix and things like that, while you're
I think the
while you're
streaming
isolated.
is going to be the bigger part.
Yeah.
I think the streaming is going to be a bigger part of the bandwidth
For
than
sure.
work or school.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
Unless you're doing
work,
a
I
lot
do
of
have
like video
video meetings.
conferencing. Yeah, exactly. We both went the same way on that.
We are, but I don't. We are, but like how much? I don't know. I guess I could look. I guess I should look at how much like bandwidth per hour Google Meet uses, but like just what we use. But like I feel, I don't think that it's the level of quality and quantity of say a Netflix or Amazon Prime or something
Sure.
when you're doing video calls. I think there are lots of people in this world who have been working from home full time for years before this.
Hmm.
Now, I do worry that we may actually hear some stories about people's internet going out because
Switches are
maybe
overloaded.
there will be capacity issues where there weren't before. Also, if there's any type of physical uh, outage, like a line being broken, are there going to be all of the repair people going to be out and about, or all of the people who are working at the data centers and the backbones? Are they all going to be uh, are they all going to be out and about? Um, because you really have to consider that anyone who's in charge of maintaining the communications infrastructure is also that's also a mission
Yeah.
critical job, like you know maintaining electricity and the water.
Right.
So people, like, if you think things are grinding to a halt now, just wait until we lose any of those things. Wait until we lose
Yeah.
power or internet. uh, that that would be an absolute disaster. Makes you wonder also how this type of situation would have been handled, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, when internet was very limited.
Right.
Most jobs could not work from home. uh, Maybe you had dial up. So it how what would have happened, back then. I mean, there's still a lot of professions that you can't work from home
Right.
a lot, um but now there's still a fair number where you can. Like, what would have happened back then? Nothing. So on the other hand, it was less of a global world then, so things maybe didn't spread as fast. So who
Right.
knows? But
That's true.
Anyway,
just
yeah.
to
So I think these carriers and the IS.
just to answer your question on bandwidth for video, if you were to be just using our connection here and removing the bandwidth that's being used to push the show out to 6 services, just our connection, which is a 2-way video connection, if you were to be on a call for a full 8 hours, which of course you wouldn't be, but let's just say you're like Mark and I were on Skype 8 hours a day, that's 43 gigs of bandwidth.
I like the idea of that.
That's 43 gigs of bandwidth per day.
Okay, so 43 gigs of bandwidth. Let's say this is just pure business hours.
Mm-hmm. That was on an 8-hour business day. 43 for an 8-hour business day.
Right. So per month that would be like almost, it's close to around a terabyte.
Yeah, if you did a full 22, it's 950. If you just did 14, which is essentially just shy of 3 weeks of isolation, which is probably give or take what the reality is going to be, it's 605.
Yeah, I mean, now I've seen some people on social media saying this proves that the bandwidth caps were never really necessary. Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Indeed, we will.
I think a lot of places don't have bandwidth caps.
Yeah.
And get by just fine. So, yes, this has been. I mean, I think I always thought it was kind of greedy for them to put the bandwidth caps in place, but the companies always claimed, especially the home internet companies always claimed, well, this is just to stop those people who are basically torrenting all day,
right?
Or running a server out of their homes. So, well, I guess we'll find out now.
Yes, we will, and it'll come down to, if you start seeing on your next bill zeroed out overage charges, you will know, give or take, how close you've been, I suppose. So, but yeah, I think you're right. I think probably for the most part, this will prove that the caps are targeted at a very small percentage of people, because like we said, even if you were to be on an HD video call 8 hours a day for 22 business days in a month, you're still not going to hit that terabyte cap. So, it's
But you know what we left out of this, because I don't have one and maybe you don't have one either. What about all the people who have streaming security cameras that are uploaded 24/7?
That's true. Yeah. That's an interesting point I hadn't considered. Yeah, I would love to talk to some people, get a count of the devices, and see if I can put together what a monthly bandwidth would look like. Now you've got me all excited. I got a project to do now. Thank you. But
I'm curious to know, because this predates this problem, and you have people who have like 3 or 4 Ring security cameras or whatever that are, I believe, uploading all 24/7 live streaming video, right?
I think they only push when they get triggered. At least with Ring. I don't know about everybody. I think they only push video when they're triggered. But I might be mistaken. Or either triggered from motion or triggered from remote. Like, hey, I want to see now. But I might be wrong on that. I don't have one, so I don't have a Ring, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I think that's how it works. But yeah, there's definitely some that are constantly pushing to cloud services for remote DVR backups and stuff like that. So for sure there are services that would add to that. So that's an interesting point, and I would like to do some research on that now. Thanks. That might be my next little research project. This week's DRM not included in F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. In addition to your free shipping, you get a number of features that might help you with this current isolation. A lot of media stuff like Amazon Prime Music, which gives you several million tracks available to stream for free. Amazon Prime Video, which is TV, movies, documentaries, both original content and licensed content available as part of your subscription. You also get through Twitch Prime free games every month, and you get the ability to subscribe to one of your favorite content providers to help them out financially. You can go and subscribe to PLUGHITZ Live or any other Twitch streamer and help them create content. And all of that is included as part of your existing Amazon Prime subscription. And if you don't already have one and would like to try it out for the next 30 days, we've got a free 30-day trial plus links to find all of these features and a whole lot more by going to f5live.tv/prime. We're going to talk about something that's not COVID related. Opa. So one of the things that I think we can all agree on is that when it comes to set-top boxes, there's kind of three big players. There's Amazon, there's Google, and there's Roku. There are some Apple holdouts and things like that. But, when it comes to over-the-top TV stuff, a lot of people have one of those three. And when it comes to smart TVs, people tend to have one of the two. Because Fire TV has been surprisingly limited in its overall availability in the market. There are some, but not a lot. And I've always wondered kind of why, exactly what was going on. Because obviously they want to be in that market. They wouldn't make set-top boxes if they didn't. They wouldn't make the operating system available to TV manufacturers if they didn't. But as it turns out, that it has to do with Google's licensing rules on Android, and if the rule that we talked about, God, how long ago did we talk about this, Avram? I think Nick was still on the show, where Google had put into place.
Goes back a long way,
right? Where Google had put into a place, because we're at 4 years now of the two of us. Google had put into place a rule that said that if you wanted to use Android on your devices, that you had to do two things. One, it had to say powered by Android as part of your boot sequence, which is why we started to see that on the Samsungs and everybody that didn't used to have it. And you could not use a fork of Android on one of your devices. Okay, so that meant that Samsung couldn't use, before Android Wear, couldn't use a forked version of Android for their watches, which is where Tizen came from, things like that. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, but Amazon Fire TV is an Android fork. And so companies that produce smart TVs can't use Fire TV. Smart TVs and smartphones can't produce Fire TV televisions if they want to use Android on their phones. Isn't that weird?
Well, if we had a robust antitrust system, then this might be investigated by someone.
I imagine the EU is going to get involved now that this is out in the air supply.
It is messed up. On the other hand, I guess I also don't see. I mean, how many TVs actually use use Android TV?
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was going to say is, in this case, it hasn't worked out in Google's favor because Samsung has their own platform. LG uses WebOS, which you could or could not argue is their own platform. had more owners than possibly.
TCL uses Roku.
Right? TCL uses Roku, as do kind of everybody. Yeah, Roku TV became the de facto not Samsung or LG platform. How often do you see, you're right, how often do you see Android TVs out there? Not very often. Now, granted, the whole chaos of them competing with themselves, because there was Google TV and there was Android TV, and people didn't know what was what, including the manufacturers, that didn't help. But yeah, how often do you see an Android TV? Even at CES walking around, you don't see the Android logo in TV sections, but you see the Roku logo everywhere.
Well, I have to ask this.
Sure.
Do people, and honestly, I'm not a big TV shopper, so I can't really speak for the TV consumer. Do people really care a lot about the smart TV OS, or are they just planning to buy a set-top box anyway?
No, you'd be surprised how many people care about the integrated stuff. Now, it's not you and I.
I mean, it is a convenience.
Sure.
Right.
But it's not you and I. We're not the target demographic for that. But my parents are. They use it on both of their televisions at home. And I mean, I am a little bit, but that's just because I want to get a WebOS TV, because it's the only WebOS product I don't own. But it's a whole different. That's a problem for me. That's not.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, but there have been so many problems with smart TV operating systems and failure to keep them updated. I mean, if it's Roku, I would trust it because Roku is the leader.
Right.
But when my parents have smart TV, and when we tried, when I set it up for them, like it just seemed, it was the Samsung UI, and it just seemed like way inferior to their Roku box.
Right.
Like just slower, less content supported. Now obviously it saves you that extra device and HDMI slot port being used, so that's and nice. I mean it's good if the software was good,
right?
But so I don't know, if I was buying a TV, unless it was a TV that had Roku built in,
right,
I wouldn't plan to use the smart feature, because it's been so poor, and haven't there been some security issues with them as well? Like, and then it's built into the TV,
Vizio.
so if there's a security issue, what are you going to do about it?
Vizio is a great example of a smart TV with security issues.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I think people would like something that was a standard, like Fire TV. Certainly, Fire Sticks do really sell really, really well.
Absolutely. It's Fire Sticks and Roku. Yeah, I have a Roku. I have it only for one thing. I usually use my Xbox as my over the top, but I do have, Apple has refused to put Apple TV on the Xbox, and since they gave me a year for free, figured I'd take advantage of it. So I do have a Roku for that, but I wouldn't use the built-in personally, except WebOS. But if it were Fire, which is a platform that Amazon's on top of, because it's the same platform for their sticks and their TVs, so that they're on top of maintaining that, or it's the Roku stuff, because again, it's almost an industry standard at this point. Doesn't matter whether you're getting a Toshiba, a Hitachi, or a TCL. It's got the Roku operating system on it. Other than those two, I mean, the whole Google TV, Android TV debacle makes that side even frightening. What, you bought a Google TV? Oh, well, sad story. That's exactly what you're talking about. What does it look like a year from now. I know what Roku looks like a year from now.
Right. I mean, yeah, Google drops things so quickly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason why Stadia is not getting a lot of support. I mean, Google could, by the way, try to get manufacturers to build Stadia in. Maybe that will be, I don't think
Maybe.
that would have a lot of success. But here's a free idea for somebody like building a game streaming service into the TV wouldn't be a bad idea if it were one that actually worked,
Right.
which is kind of a problem right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think this will come to some type of a lawsuit or something like that, but
Google's been
right
under
now,
fire.
Google's
been under fire in the EU so much, and this was one of the loudest secrets in the industry, apparently, because apparently everybody knew about it and nobody talked about it until until recently. And now that it's in the air supply, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets added into the EU's anger at Google. So who knows? But
couldn't Amazon just build their own Linux-based OS that was not a fork?
I'm
They certainly
surprised.
could afford to develop it.
I'm surprised that they haven't, to be perfectly honest.
Like on the tablets, it makes sense because they're trying to get developers to move their Android, because you could develop an Android app and it can be pretty easily be ported to the Amazon store,
so long as you're not using Google
and
Play
you don't wanna
services.
Right. But on the TV, it's a much more limited ecosystem of apps. I mean, could they not do something like that?
They could, but even Microsoft, who had an entire army of developers behind them, couldn't get people to develop for a new platform.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I don't know. You can ask Samsung how getting developers to build for Tizen has worked out. Except for on the watches, which has been very successful for them. But, the Tizen phones haven't left overseas because they can't get anybody to build anything for them, which is a shame because it's a really great development environment, to be perfectly honest. But that's a whole other topic. But, Samsung, industry leader, Microsoft, platform leader, they couldn't get people to write software for a new platform. So it would be sticky. So, but if somebody could pull it off, it would be Amazon. If somebody could get people to do it, it would be Amazon, because the Fire brand already has weight. So I don't know. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We always appreciate it. If you didn't join us live, would like to in the future, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can go to f5live.tv/join us, and you can chat with us in the studio during the show. We love to get feedback on the topics. If you didn't join us live and would like to subscribe to the show, you can always go to plughitslive.com/subscribe, and there you'll see this and all of our other shows available, and all the different ways that you can subscribe on Apple and Google and all kinds of other platforms. We have them all listed there for you. And if you've got any ideas on things, because I'm serious about this bandwidth thing. If you've got any ideas on products that I should include on my bandwidth statistics thing that I want to do, please let us know. You can find us on social media. Just search for PLUGHITZ Live. It doesn't matter where you are, and you'll find us. So I guess with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we will see you guys back next time. Ciao.